Hey there, ARMA here. Welcome to a brand new ARMAvation conversation. And today I have the honor to speak with an amazing, talented individual. She's a content creator who makes animatronics, cosplay drawings, animation, and she does it all handmade. But most importantly, she has created a petition about YouTube's AI age verification policy. So I welcome you, Els Kindle. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to have this platform to speak on, still. And I think this is a very important issue, and it was only natural for me to want to, create a petition to put a stop to it.
So, from human to human, just how life has been for you. How are you feeling? How's this year been for you so far?
It's been a great year. Been making a lot of advances in what I do, which I intend to showcase here in a little bit, but as you mentioned, I create animatronics, I create like puppets, I do animation, drawing. I'm basically an artist in a lot of mediums. And I think that over the past year I've really advanced in my career outlook and learning new techniques. And so I think it's just been a really progressive year. I've been growing exponentially, and I've been using this platform to like kind of show that. And the response to it has also been really nice. Like I really love seeing the positive feedback on my latest costumes and my latest work, and it's really rewarding. So I'd say that this year has been definitely an improvement from last year. So I'd say I'm doing all right. I'm doing good.
Yeah, from what I could see, I think you're doing great because, like, seeing the stuff that you create, I'm like, wow, how? So that's amazing. That you do it all handmade. That's insane. But yeah. So get into your artistic background and your YouTube channel. I briefly want to talk about this here, but so how did you get into making handmade items, just crafting, designing. What made you want to do this? What made you want to start a YouTube channel and the content you create basically?
So, growing up, I have like thousands of memories of just, as a child, like I drew a lot. You know, I always made like coloring books. I pretended to write my own books. I made my own quote unquote costumes, which are just nothing more than construction paper or cardboard, but I think they still counted. And I just always had a passion for like making things. And so when the game Five Nights at Freddy's came out, which was about like 2014, 2015, which is when I got into it, I sort of got into the whole animatronics thing and like the idea of robotics and things moving on their own or like things having expression. And I just really think that channeled into me and like my creative persona. And ever since then, I've been really passionate about robotics and designing my own costumes, which I've been doing since like officially I've been doing like in a pseudo professionally sense since about 2017. And I only started uploading my cosplays to YouTube in 2018, but some of those videos aren't like on there anymore just because I had a habit of deleting things for no reason when I was younger. So yeah, so that's kind of how it went. And then as of 2020, when I started building consistently cosplays and I saw other creators doing it, that was what fueled a lot of my creativity, and it inspired me to make a lot of the costumes I've made, which I have some of them here with me. So
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
all right if I go ahead and show some of
Yeah, yeah,
these?
go ahead.
Okay, so this one is um Spring
Ooh.
Bonnie from the Five Nights at Freddy's games. um he does have spring locks. I actually made a video showcasing how they work and everything. So it's inspired by a lot of like the training tapes from the 1980s that like they would use at these restaurants. This is the inside of the head, and basically there's a spring lock mechanism inside where it can unwind and also lock in place, which I did a demonstration on based on 1980s training tapes,
Okay.
and it's like really really inspired by like live action costumes. The second thing I have to show, and he's a bit heavier, but this is Foxy, and he's based on the first Fights Freddy's game, and he's fully animatronic, which I will demonstrate here. And he's also fully wearable as well. This will just take me a little.
Oh, that is insane.
Not sure if his ears went already, but there we go.
Wow.
And then, of course, the jaw also moves, but this is only the head for the costume. So, obviously, all these costumes have bodies as well. I have a ton of other costumes and also puppets that I've shown on my channel over the years. And so those are just two of them, but I just wanted to show those because those are like my most recent creations and like sort of like the highlight of my work as an artist.
Wow, that's insane. All handmade. Wow.
Thank you.
How long did that take for those two heads?
Spring Bonnie took, so if you want to count the spring locks, which I took about like, 2 years to design, because I also didn't have access to like a lot of hardware stores. So once I did, I was able to do it like a lot more, and I was able to kind of experiment with different materials. But he took about like, so the costume itself took only like 6 months because I created the pattern and then I like modified it so that way it's like a wearable head. And so that takes about like a month to like figure that out and shape it to my head. And then the body itself, I create the pieces and then I cover them in fabric. It takes me from about May, June, July, August. So that's 8 months.
Wow.
And it really paid off because this was the first time that I had a fully animatronic costume and it was wearable. It didn't have any failures. I've been doing robotics for 5 years and I had a lot of errors with the previous costume, so it was really a relief to be able to like go out in public at a convention and just be able to showcase the work I put into it, which has been really difficult, but so rewarding.
Speaking of your channel, like I guess throughout your whole journey, this whole process and your creations, how would you compare like your earliest moments and days, your earliest videos on your YouTube channel compared to like how it is now? Like what's your perspective? Has it changed?
When I started YouTube, I was 9 years old. Obviously, that was 12 years ago, and right now I'm an adult and I make a lot different content. I used to actually only post Lego videos. In fact, my first video was a Lego stop motion video. I posted it when I was about 10 years old, I think. And, that differs very much from my current content, which is making animatronics or just regular costumes, and also puppets. I don't upload as much drawing content or animations anymore, but I do them quite a lot, like subconsciously, like, when I'm designing my costumes, I am always drawing. It was my early content versus my current content. And I'd say that obviously, I'm age-wise very different, but also in terms of how I interacted with my fans, where I just, I was very unsure of what content I wanted to make at the time when I was still a minor. But as an adult, I have more of a set idea of, like I'm sticking to this niche of, making these things. And I like that a lot better. I think that's a better way to go about it.
Right, that definitely makes sense. You, of course, you have a different perspective, as you age and get older. So that's interesting too. Okay. As far as your community, how difficult was it to start your own community from the beginning? Like how it is like with smaller channels, it could be challenging to deal with the algorithm. So how did you build your community? What did you have to do to like get people watching and staying consistent?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I didn't actually have the ability to do that. Well, I know that I understand YouTube's algorithm at the time. Now I know that it's about posting one video one short, keeping with your fans, posting a community post, and you got the whole package. But at the time, all shorts wasn't a thing yet until like 2021, I think. But this I'm referring to 2020, which this is August 2020, and I had just uploaded like, hey, I just made my first prototype of Spring Bonnie, which this one, the one I showed, is now the fifth version I've made. So I've made five different costumes of this.
Wow.
And the first one I made was it was pretty bad by my standards now, but like I went with it and I posted a video where I put it on, and I waited like about a couple months, and then I started to receive a lot of attention because, FNAF of, Five Nights at Freddy's was gaining a lot of resurgence because there was talks of a movie being made, and so everyone was coming back onto it. It was quarantine, and YouTube was like becoming popular, and so everyone was back on YouTube, and so a lot of people saw the video, and I started to gain subscribers. And then by December, or actually rewind a little bit to October, I had posted a video, kind of like a lore video, where it was showing like one of the cut scenes from Five Nights at Freddy's, and I recreated it in live action. And initially, like it only had like 110,000 views or something by like December, and all of a sudden, by I would say 2021, like right at January, it reached a million views. And my
Mm.
channel had 1,000 subscribers, which was it went from 60 in October to 1,000 by December. Like I had already reached 1,000 by January. I was looking at 2,000, and that's when I unlocked community posts, which is when I started to really navigate the idea of having a community. Going back to what you said, like, how did I manage that? Well, labs, doing projects, and it's about, you know, making the most of, what you create, and like sharing that experience with others. And I think that's what helped me create my community. But what I want to say is the most important aspect of it to me, it was about finding other creators who did similar things, because those people stuck with me forever.
In the ways, how did your community help support you throughout the years? Like, what are some benefits from it that you received?
So I had a lot of like moments, like there were a few moments, especially being a minor, where I'd gone through a few things. But when I reached out to my community, they were always there. And not like I expected them to be, but they always showed support, and they always said, we'll always be here for you, we'll be patient and understanding. And most recently, when I was actually pretty sure that I was going to quit YouTube, but I decided to come back because I wanted to show that I wasn't going to go down without a fight. And I realized that I didn't want to give up my artwork for a $1 billion company. They were all there for me, and they, rooted for me, and they said, this is not right. And I listened to them, and I wanted to be there with them if, God forbid, I decide I would go down because YouTube would take me down or something. But I think that if it wasn't for that community I had, and I currently have, I wouldn't have found it within myself to want to continue, because I make videos for them and I interact with them, and they inspire me, and I hope that I inspire them. So I think that's really empowering, and that's the importance of community, and that's what they've done to help me,
Hmm.
and in turn for me to help them.
Yes, that's beautiful right there. I could definitely relate to that too because, even though I'm a small channel, like there's times where I want to quit, but there's people that I've collaborated with like, hey, just keep going and stuff. So that's what matters. Okay, so I want to now transition to the main topic, which is YouTube AI verification and your petition on change.org. So your petition is called "Stop YouTube's Faulty AI Age Detection System for Punishing Adult Creators," and it has over 230 signatures so far, and it continues to grow. So when was the exact moment you decided to start this petition? Like, what's the story behind making this decision?
Well, I had been, dealing on and off. Actually, this issue is not as of 2025. It dates back to about like 2024. So it's already been going on for a year. And I so for context, I do a lot of live streams, and I I show my face like I am now, and I like to talk to my fans. I like them to see who they're looking at. And most importantly, I think it helps them put a name to a face. And that's just what I firmly believe. So I was really confused when I kept having this issue where in my live streams, like, how there's like a live chat. Well, for some reason, I would have this error where it would just randomly turn off, and there was no explanation. Fast forward to now, and I had been talking about the issue with my current partner, and he kind of brought up something about, well, I heard this, and I heard that YouTube is having this AI thing, and I looked into it. I'm like, I go to my boyfriend, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, something is wrong there, and there is an issue. Like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that YouTube was actually scanning my face to find out if I was a minor or not. And then to make matters worse, when I went on my email, because I have YouTube attached to my email, um, it didn't it didn't dawn on me for some reason to check my email, because I had tried like making multiple live streams to like restart the whole situation, like try to like work my way around it, hope the chat gets put back up. But it kept saying, no, 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 you're not having your chat back because we think you're a minor. And I was like
Wow.
taken aback, and I kind of said to myself, well, first of all, no, I'm not. I've been on YouTube for 12 years, so that should already be a sign that there's no way that I'm under the age of 18. If it, like I'm not I didn't, I wasn't born with an iPad or a device in my hands. Like, I was at least like 9 when I started. So, I think that already made me really angry. But the second thing is that I'm an adult, but I look very young for my age, so I can see why the scanner thought I was a minor. But it's it just can't work, like, in my opinion. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a moment, because I don't want to go too much on a tangent about that. But my main point here is that it's not only that reason, but another reason why I decided to make the petition is because I had been seeing also, and this also does affect me as well. And I've heard this from specifically, a lot of people saying they have autism and they like younger kids content. Well, it's for everyone, but YouTube thinks you're a kid if you watch it. Things like, well, if you want to watch like episodes of Lazy Town or some other childish, like SpongeBob, or um I don't know, like, or I don't know, what if you have a kid and you want to put on Dora the Explorer? Oh well, if you're not the kid, YouTube thinks you are the kid now. So, it just it's inherently wrong. It just doesn't work. So I just thought, hey, if there's something that doesn't work, I gotta stamp my foot down and say no.
And I could relate to that too, because personally, me, I know people that have autism, people in my family that have autism that might watch videos that YouTube could deem as childish and stuff, but it's just what they're really into. Do you think that it's possible that YouTube could like reconsider that because of like people, adults that have autism? Do you think that's something they would consider in the future or maybe ignore it?
Um, as much as I wish I could be optimistic and say yes, unfortunately, YouTube, ever since Google's got its hands on it, it's just become a money-making grab, and it's not really as much of a human-centered platform anymore. Unfortunately, YouTube, which is just in quotations for Google, it's basically the same thing at this point, because there is no YouTube by itself. Um, it's just sort of like a mess of like, hey, you got to pay for this. There's ads everywhere. We don't care about anything. And there's a lot of censorship, and there's a lot of double standards. Like, I want to bring up this one channel that I've been watching a lot, and I've seen a lot of his videos. And maybe you've heard of him. His name is August the Duck. Have you ever heard of that channel?
No, no, I haven't.
So he does a lot of videos where he covers like controversial like topics on YouTube. Like there have been a lot of channels, and I apologize if your video might get flagged for me saying this, but
Mm.
that have been exercising animal
Mm.
you might have to blur that out.
Right.
Uh and not only that, but child like family channels are especially terrible about it. But because they make money, and this is like the same thing that happened with Sniper Wolf. They didn't ban her because even though she doxed someone, they decided, well, she makes enough money. We'll keep her on the platform. She makes us money. I mean, like, so you can already see how YouTube works, and they don't like to intervene if they know that they're going to lose money. And this is a cheap way. This AI thing is just a cheap way and a lazy excuse for them to increase their workflow and increase their profits. Because otherwise, they have to hire people to modify things, which they shouldn't even have in the first place. They should just leave it alone. Like, YouTube is not a place for kids to begin with. Like, they need to stop like policing the internet. Like, it's just uninhabitable at this point. Like, I feel like I'm stepping on eggshells every time. Oh, what if I say the word cartoon? Like, will I be flagged? Or, oh my God, I was terrified to watch a video that included Big Bird, even though it was like, showing the mechanisms inside Big Bird. Well, that could be considered minor content. So it's like, I just think YouTube does what they want. They don't really have any regard for what us, like we, the people, think. They think about their wallets and nothing more. That's just the cold hard truth. And based on their response to a lot of people, which I'm sure you've seen, like, I can't remember his name, but he was like Dr. Funny or something, or some guy who, like, he has like these thumbnails where it's like the YouTube logo with like a sad face or something. And like it shows like,
Oh, is it
oh,
Deep Huber?
YouTube, this was, yes, it is deep humor. Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Um, a lot of people in there are all of the same mentality that it's like, YouTube is just, they don't care. They're gonna roll this out anyways, and they did. And they have no regard for anyone, even though they say they do, they absolutely don't. They don't care about people with autism. They don't care about people with special needs. If they did, well, number one, they would get rid of YouTube Kids. Number two, they would get rid of ads. Or at least they would manage their ads because they're crazy. Number three, they would actually have real protections. And not only that, but what I found most unhelpful was that they don't even have like a helpline. Like, what if I had a service issue? Oh, they just expect you to just type it in the chat of their endless amount of questions that no one ever answers. So I
Mm.
just felt really like unheard, and I felt really silenced by YouTube. And I think that same sentiment is felt by a lot of people. And I think that's just how YouTube is. They don't care, they are ignorant, and they just choose to turn a blind eye to us.
Interesting. You did mention in your petition that uh, you, YouTube hasn't responded to any of your appeals. Has that changed, or are you still getting a lack of communication from YouTube trying to appeal your videos or live streams?
Yeah, so going back to my earlier point, well, first, they absolutely have not peeled any of my things. Never, not once. But second of all, they make it impossible for you to get a hold of them because they don't have a support line. I mean, that's a problem. I mean,
Hmm.
a support chat is much different than a support call line. Like no one's gonna respond to that. Like, I mean, it kind of is a channel emergency. I mean, I risk losing my channel if I have enough strikes. So it's a little nerve-wracking, and the fact that they're just directing us to the soulless chat thing that doesn't get questions answered. Why don't they use the AI there? Like, why don't they
Hmm.
direct us to a person?
On August 5th, you recorded like a goodbye video at the time, learning about YouTube AI's verification. You bitch you felt like giving up at the time, and I'm personally sorry for what you went through and what you're going through. Though you returned to your channel since that video, Do you still feel the exact same way as you did in that moment in that video? Uh, or is it still, do you still feel the same, or is it different? Or, like, have your feelings changed?
12 years ago, I was only 9 years old, and I was using this platform to make artwork. I didn't know that in 2025, YouTube would try to threaten me and deplatform me because they think I look like a minor. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I just feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle.
Um, well, it was emotional at the time because I was under a lot of like other pressure, and then the YouTube thing just it really got to me because I felt like it was like a censorship and I felt really silenced as an artist. And I believe that we are the entertainers of the people in the world, and I feel like society will be sad without us. So I just felt a great amount of sadness for other people who do art like me or who are just trying to go about their day. And the whole point why this is so sad, I want to make this very clear, is it is highly inappropriate for Google to be asking of our ID when it Google has been, first of all, known to steal data. They've had multiple lawsuits filed against them. And second of all, there are a lot of third-party sites that are attached to Google that could easily steal your information. So it's just highly unethical for them to ask us, oh, we have to sacrifice ourselves for minors who technically still aren't going to be safe. They could just use their parents' ID. I mean, like with that logic, it's the same thing as, oh, quote unquote, acting like someone's parent. That's why I'm very angry about it because it punishes us, the adults, who already have enough of our information leaked out, and we don't need more of it leaked out. And also, it's a huge violation of privacy, but they do it anyways because they know they'll get away with it because they know that they're the only platform that has long form videos and a stable community, although we're getting more unstable by the day if they keep this up. And I think that they take advantage of that. And that's why I'm particularly angry because they know they'll get away with it and they absolutely will. But again, my hope is that by showing my emotion, which I did in that video, going back to like how I felt, that was my raw emotion of how I felt like in describing what I just described. But at the time, it was all I really felt it. It really sank in, and I cried. I had my channel for 12 years now. I've been on it since I was a child, and it just felt like a nightmare. Like it felt like it was not like it felt like a movie. Like it just didn't feel real. Like it and it felt surreal, like having to tell my subscribers that, hey, I don't know if YouTube will allow me to be on here anymore because I don't know, I guess I look like a minor. And then, well, there's the argument that, hey, you could just provide your ID, but that goes back to why I'm angry about it in the first place, which I just explained. So I'll, if they want to go back and read that portion. But um, I think that I'm still just as upset. I'm not really emotional about it anymore because I've just accepted the fact that, YouTube is pretty soulless. And of course, the company is, not the people in it. They're full of life, creativity, and passion, and that's what keeps me going. But I think that, you know, I didn't really see anyone have that emotion, so it just kind of came out. And I think that that was me at the time, but now I'm a lot more calm and collected about it. I've just tried to accept the fact that if something happens, I can't control it. I mean, the petition is the best I could do because I don't have money to fight them. I can't sue them in court. I don't have any like evidence, so to speak, in my hands. Of course I do, but I don't know anything about legal cases, so of course I thought, why not make a petition? I mean,
Els, you also mentioned that age and looks, is a factor, being a factor towards AI potentially can wrongly identify someone as under 18, like you mentioned before, even though the person, is an adult. Because everyone doesn't look their age, right? And like you mentioned before, some adults like to watch cartoons, Pokemon stuff they used to watch growing up. If you want to elaborate, like, how do you think this will, who are not only affecting the content creators, but people themselves, like, who are just trying to view their favorite content creator, people who just want to view YouTube, without a channel?
Well, I think for them, I think that is different. I would say that, especially me, like a few days ago, I was actually on YouTube Music and I realized I was listening to something that could be considered music listened to by a minor. So I actually changed my account to a different account I have. I don't know. I mean, nothing happened. I know that YouTube Music is technically attached to YouTube because videos from YouTube end up on YouTube Music and vice versa. So I was a little bit scared, but nothing has happened so far. I like there was a period where I was rewatching episodes of kids shows I used to watch, but again, this was pre AI age verification, and I just think that if someone does have a channel, my best word of advice to them is just to create an alt account and just watch it there because hopefully that should like differentiate in YouTube's mind, but that could also make it worse. I just can't be certain for the future of that. And that's what makes it really upsetting because we should be able to do what we want. And let's say you have kids. I mean, what if you don't want to necessarily watch the content, but your kid does? I don't know what YouTube's law is on amount of channels you can make at once, but um I just think it's really an extra set of steps that just isn't necessary. And I think it's absolutely gonna impact people and just give YouTube a new level of anxiety to be in, and I just think that's unfortunate.
What would be your argument to this if YouTube wants to help protect people under 18 from seeing mature and explicit content? Why is there so much backlash against this verification process? Shouldn't kids be prevented from seeing videos made for adults?
It's not our job to monitor kids, it's their parents' job. And if their parents fail, that's not our fault. Um, YouTube is now embraced in several other platforms as well, like Spotify for whatever reason. I can't imagine why. I really can't. Like, what on earth does a music platform, why do they have the business asking for this? Like, I understand maybe YouTube, but it's Spotify? Like, I mean, that's just going too far. Like, I already don't like Spotify, but it's just sort of this idea of like the internet needs to be patrolled, and it just does not. Like, it's so unnecessary, and it just creates more problems than solutions. If you're a kid, like being on YouTube can be helpful. Um, I know for me it was, and it motivated me a lot in life, and it kept me going. And I just think that if that's not there for some kids, they might feel lonely, or they might feel like they don't have like access, to see things, and they'll feel like they're in this guarded box, and it just I feel like that really limits a lot of kids' freedom.
Hmm.
I just think that you have to just be diligent. Like if you're a parent, like monitor your kid. I mean, it shouldn't be up to us and YouTube to figure that out.
Based on what you're saying, if YouTube continues to go along with this new policy, what do you see happening to the future of you for YouTube content creators? What would be the outcome to all of this? We're in August now, so the rest of the year going on into the new year. Where do you, if they keep going with this, what do you think exactly will happen?
Well, I don't see myself live streaming ever again because I'm quite terrified that because I always show my face and I refuse to sacrifice that for some dumb policy. I'm not gonna I'm gonna give that up then because I don't want it just doesn't feel right to not, like smile at my fans and say hi. And it's really hurtful and it's quite offensive because I worked hard to build that fan base and I really appreciate my fans. And to know that I can't even like look at them in the face, it's upsetting. It's hard for me and it really feels disheartening. And I wish I could go back to, here's the crazy thing, which I want to say is that when I was actually a minor, my chat never turned off. But the moment I was an adult, my chat actually turned off. So it's I mean that just speaks for itself. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, like that just shows how backwards their system is, and also the fact that like I'm most upset and scared for creators that I know who make a lot of videos about kids content, even though they are adults, but they don't do it for kids. They do it for everyone. And the fact that YouTube wants to police them is really upsetting because it's like the equivalent of grouping everyone together, and it just doesn't work. I see a lot of trouble in the future for those people who, I don't know, make cartoon videos, cover kids content. I don't see a happy future for them, and I'm upset and worried. And I see that they could get flagged, they could get taken down. And in fact, a lot of my friends of friends have left. They've left YouTube because they just don't want to deal with this.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry to hear that. Jeez. Oh. So speaking of content creators, do you think that enough, like the YouTubers who have like a huge following, like millions of followers and stuff like that, do you feel that enough of them are speaking out, or should they speak out, or like why? I guess in your opinion, if not enough of them have spoken out, like why do you think that is?
I actually am not sure. I really can't say for sure. My best guess is that they are afraid that if they speak out, they'll lose their bond with YouTube. Like, and I feel like the way it works is that until something affects someone, they won't do anything.
Hmm.
But if they're in a comfortable place where it caters to them, of course they're not going to do anything. So I think like, people like Markiplier, PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, what is it now? I don't know. 5 Minute Crafts, T Series. I don't know what the big channels are anymore.
Hmm.
Game Theory or something. YouTube likes those people, and I feel like if anything is going to change, if we even have a tiny, tiny fraction of a chance of winning our cause, they need to be the ones to speak up because our voices don't have much power at all, unfortunately.
But not only just YouTube, do you see this could possibly, age verification could possibly spread across other social media platforms in America?
Yes, and if I stand correctly, I believe it already has with TikTok. I'm pretty sure Spotify already has. Thank goodness SoundCloud hasn't. That's why I like SoundCloud. I don't think like Twitter, I think maybe Instagram is thinking of doing it too, but like I don't know.
Right.
It's happening, that's for sure. There's no denying that. And I think it will continue to happen because they're gonna blindly see. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's almost like they just are deaf. Like they can't hear our outlash. We're outraged and backlashing, and that we are like screaming and crying, like, don't do this, but they just don't care.
Els, what would you say to people who agree with YouTube's age verification and think it's a great idea?
Well, I mean, I'll play devil's advocate here, but personally, I've never seen anyone ever say that it's good. But if they did, I would say that you need to seriously take a step away from the internet and realize that YouTube is not, it was never meant for kids. It's not meant for kids.
Okay, so what would you say to people who don't really want to give away their ID or personal information, but they're really desperate to watch their favorite YouTuber and, they'll still just cave in and do it because of that reason? What would you say to those people?
I'd say that they're doing the right thing and they shouldn't feel any guilt at all. And I do the exact same. I'm not going to provide my ID ever. Um, I feel like okay, well, because it's Google, I'm especially mad, but if it wasn't Google, I might be a little more inclined to, but even still, I probably wouldn't. But because it's Google, I'm especially concerned knowing how many privacy violations they've made over the years. And I agree with those people. I think they're fighting the good fight. And I think that they should be entitled to watch whatever they want, no matter their age, no matter who they are. Of course, if they're a kid, they can't watch something like a murder, you know, caught on camera. I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, but that's up to the parents to monitor, not us, not YouTube. So I think that's perfectly fine. And I would say to them, you know what? Good for you.
So before we close out here, Els, just three more questions. What do you want people to take away or learn from your petition? And what are your future plans for the petition and your YouTube journey?
I hope that the petition, which and also this really shocked me. I don't know how this works, but apparently people can actually donate money on
Hmm.
it. And I never even said anything about it, but someone donated like $3. And I assume that's for if I decide to go to legal battle with them, which, and I did see your video on the other person who made a petition. Now I'm hoping that, I'm not sure how you got in contact with them, but I'm hoping that somehow we can merge petitions.
Hmm.
I'm not exactly sure, but, or maybe we can come together and sort of like do a giant petition or something. I'm not sure how that works, but
Hmm.
that's my hope, is that I can find someone like that who already has like all that sort of like momentum built up behind them, have something like that, and kind of stand together with them. Even though there's a very high chance that YouTube won't do anything because they're very stubborn and they're very ignorant and they're very money driven. If they don't see money, they don't see the reason why to do it. So my optimism is very low, but that's not to say that it's gone. And I still have hopes in the future that my channel will not be affected and that others I love will not be affected. And that the petitions that myself or others make of this topic continue to prosper and we can really rally against YouTube.
Do you have any words of encouragement for people who are, disappointed with the age verification, or people who maybe are hesitant to signing any petitions?
I would say that I would not pressure anyone to do anything or not do anything. It's up to them. Personally, I've had a lot of emotional fluctuations on this issue, and one day thought, oh my God, it's all going to be over. But then another day I've thought, no, I'm going to start a petition. I'm going to end this once and for all. And so I think that it just depends on what you believe in. And I think I'm grateful for the people who have signed and who have taken note of it, and especially the voices. Um, there's even one person who made several videos attached to my petition, and I really appreciated that. I really felt heard and supported, and I think if people want to do that, I commend them for that. If they don't, that's totally up to them.
Now, finally, else, what is your message to YouTube if you got the chance to speak, with some of the staff members? What's your big message?
I just think it's cruel. I think it's lazy. I think it's inconsiderate. Um, I think that none of this has to happen. You don't even need monitoring. You really don't. I just want to be able to live stream. I just want to be able to talk to my fans without anxiety or not knowing that my channel will be up the next day I wake up. I just want to have that peace of mind, but with the AI verification, it's next to impossible. And I just hope that YouTube knows that it affects creators like us very deeply. And it's can have negative consequences, especially if someone is monetized. I mean, praying for them that it doesn't affect them, but that's sometimes people's living money. And it's just really, it's just so generalized and it's so unhelpful. In fact, does the opposite of what they're trying to achieve, which they did a better job of before than now. Didn't impact anything. It didn't help anything for the better. It just made everything worse.
Mm.
So I just gotta say to YouTube, you got a big mess to clean up.
Mm. Wow. Well, thanks so much for this, Els. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to speak with you, and what you're doing for your community is very inspirational, and you're mega talented. So, I'm here to give you your flowers right now, and know that you're brave for expressing yourself and how you truly feel. So, I hope you continue to do more amazing things, no matter what social media platform you decide to go on in the future, and just continue to spread what you believe in, and have a positive impact on your community, and never give up. So,
Yes, thank you very much for having me. I was really delighted to have this interview opportunity. And I'm really glad to see that you're kind of like helping voice concerns like mine. And it really gives me like a peace of mind because I only have so much outreach and I don't like to really tell people like, hey, can you support this? I prefer to just not ask people for that. So for you to come to me was really special and I appreciate that. So
Of course.
I also commend you for your work, doing all this philanthropic sort of like interviewing people and really getting the word out on controversies like this, especially because not a lot of people understand what's going on. They might be confused or they might be just not sure. So this should hopefully put people off the fence and onto the right track.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Els. I appreciate it. Despite the technical difficulties, I'm glad I got to hear your thoughts and opinions and everything. So yeah, so thank you to anyone who's tuned into this. If you like content such as this, please feel free to like, share, comment section below, open space for anyone to share what they need to share. And if you want to support Els, you can sign her petition on change.org. The link will be in the description. And you can also donate to her. Is it Kofi.com or Coffee?
Yes, it's coffee. I
Okay.
also am open for commissions. I can do requests, but yes, if you'd like to donate me there, that would be beyond appreciated, but of course never required.
Okay, and I'll add that link as well. And with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video and hope you learned something today. So, okay, then, see you next time and take care. Peace.